I'll be doing a C0 Cyno review. The banner is still active for a few more days, and then Nilu will be coming. I will say though, unfortunately, I didn't get him to level 90 at the time of recording this video because I just can't get enough of these scarab beetles in the desert. Because you know how they you have to collect them over a couple of days, and then you have to wait till they cool down, and then wait till they respawn like a couple of days later. And I didn't do it consistently enough, or actively enough, so I don't have him there. But I do have him at level 80, so let's just get to it, shall we? So I do have him 80 out of 80. I did get him at least to the 5th ascension. I actually have all the other materials ready. I just don't have enough scarabs at the time of this video. I figured 80 is still pretty decent and pretty good for the majority of player base. They might not get him to 90 right away either. And yeah, so I figured it's okay. So let's just do this. So my crit rate could be higher, I know that. But given what I have, I think this is the best that I can do for now. Maybe in the future I can do an updated one when he reruns in the future, way in the future. By then I should have him at 90, of course, and maybe I'll have his weapon by then. As you guys know, I did not get his weapon, and I didn't really go hard and heavy on it to go for it. So yeah. Alright, so as you can see, I gave him the primordial jade-winged spear. This is technically his second best option as a 5-star weapon with crit rate on there, right? And because his signature weapon would be, of course, his best, but I didn't get it, and I didn't bother going for it. Alright, so I basically stole this off of Xiao because I don't use Xiao, and it's a good point to bring up Xiao here. I find that both these characters are very similar. Of course, they're on-field DPSs. They're very selfish in that sense. They need to be on the field, and they're very fast and aggressive and all that stuff. But they do have a clunkiness to them, and I'll get into that when I'm doing the gameplay part right after this. But let's just quickly talk about his weapons. I did a weapon options video before he was released, or right when he was released, and now this is just to kind of update on that. So yes, I would say that the primordial jade-winged spear is probably his best other option if you don't have his signature weapon. If you have this from the standard banners or from losing 50/50s on weapon banners over the past, then you would have maybe a copy of this. I actually have two, so I could easily give another copy back to Xiao later if I wanted to level this up. I don't really use Xiao, so I figured I'm not going to bother leveling this up right now. I didn't bother refining it into it because it's still a pretty good weapon. So I just kept it as separate weapons. I gave him the deathmatch for now, but I don't use Xiao, so it's fine. No one's using the deathmatch, so. Alright, so this is great, but let's just finish off with the 5-star options up here first. So like the Engulfing Lightning could be good if you were to build him like Raiden Shogun, which is basically her best in slot weapon. I haven't seen very many streamers do it yet. I was very curious about it myself. I've mentioned that in some comments on some videos. I've also mentioned that in my original weapons options video, and I personally haven't built him that way, but it'd be very interesting to do it that way. Now he doesn't scale off of energy like Raiden Shogun does, of course. He actually scales off of elemental mastery a bit, so there's a slight different focus there. So it wouldn't be perfect, but it could be something to work on. But I don't know that anyone else has that many Engulfing Lightnings extras to give to him. So, I mean, but then it could be an interesting option. Skyward Spine is actually a very solid weapon. Thank you to some of my viewers who mentioned and confirmed that it's a really good weapon option because he does need the energy recharge, or he needs like an energy battery or to be paired with. So it's also a very nice weapon because it gives some crit rate passive, some speed passive, some charged attack passive, normal attack, etc. It also looks pretty good on him. Like that kind of like I don't know if it's Roman inspired or like European ancient civilization gold and blue color also works for him because he has that goldish kind of color and Egyptian kind of vibe. Of course, Homa is going to be like fine for every single polearm user, and that would include him. But I don't know that many people have extra copies of this lying around. But if you do, I mean, and if you don't have anything else, then give him the Sapphire Homa, and that's fine. Of course, the catch is fine. We're not going to go through all the options, but as a DPS, you want to focus on the crit rate and the crit damage and energy recharge as much as possible. So we'll just focus on that. The Deathmatch is also a great weapon, and similarly, the Blackcliff Pole is also a great weapon. We're not going to go through all of them because I already talked about it in my weapons option, and my opinion hasn't changed. Okay, so his best in-slot set for artifacts is actually a 4-piece Gilded Dreams. Since getting him and since the previous videos, I did try my best to go and get him a 4-piece set. Unfortunately, I have not been lucky with the RNG in this game, so we're just keeping it at 2-piece Gilded Dreams for the Elemental Mastery. and then 2-piece Wanderers for the Elemental Mastery. And for, in this case, I have Electro for the Cup, I have Attack for the Sands, and Crit Damage for the Connectors. You want to make sure that one focus on crit, right? Again, he does have a section that talks more about him doing his Elemental Mastery. So let's just go to the talents first. So I did bring him to 888. For this, technically, you could leave this a little lower if you didn't plan to use his normal attacks, but I believe it's still important as a DPS to have your normal attacks pretty decently high up, so I went for it. The Chasmic Soulfarer here, this is his skill, this is basically his dash. Basically, he dashes forward and there's some AoE electro damage along with it. This doesn't scale off of anything specific, and the multiplier is quite low for this, but I still brought it up to 8. The reason why is because of the burst here. The burst has okay multipliers. I wouldn't say they're the best, but the burst here has this eye thing. That's the part that I find clunky. You have to time it, and then you can get basically bonus damage, okay? And we'll talk more about that, but basically you have to time it with you doing your skill inside of the burst. And that's actually this passive talent here. So long story short, once you activate the burst, there will be this eye that appears on the screen if you didn't know, and then the eye, if you can time it right and make it gold, then you get extra damage, basically, is what this is saying, okay? You get, like, yeah, like, long story short, it just gets extra damage. And then this one, as you can see, he scales off of Elemental Mastery. Now, I wouldn't give him all EM main stats, of course not, but, I mean, if you can get them on all your sub-stats and get them high or reasonably high, and you have pieces like that, then that's fine. You know, even if you just gave him maybe the Sands as an EM piece, but still gave him a crit focus like headpiece and gave him a electro or attack focused I guess what is it? I'm losing out. Cup, there we go. That's okay too, but yeah, he does do a lot of electro damage, so you want to give electro damage here. I mean, if this was an EM piece, that's okay, you know? But as you can see, I compensated because I have 2 double piece sets with EM, so I guess that's okay. It's not gonna be the best, but it's something, right? You know? So you can see that there's that. And then this last one, you just get a little extra from dispatching him in Sumeru, but Sumeru's items that you get from dispatch are crap. Okay, so back to the Constellations. So I have him at C0, and I don't think that he needs any other Constellations. Of course, he will always be stronger with Constellations. If you love this guy and you care for it, or if you're lucky, then definitely go for it. I don't plan to pull for him in the future. I think that he is actually very similar to Xiao. I don't use Xiao, and he will be the same as Xiao for me. He is decent, and also Xiao is powerful, and Cyno is powerful as well. But Cyno, I don't feel like I like the clunkiness of the way that it is. That's just me. Nothing wrong with the game, maybe, but it's just me not liking it. It's just not resonating with me. Okay, so anyway, at C0, that's what we have. But at C1, his normal attack speed will be increased, and you know, he can also get the duration increased if you do the Soulfarer, right? So that's kind of cool. C2, his electro damage will be increased. C3 is +3 levels for the Wolf's swiftness, and that's his ult. And then this one, C4, the then he will, let's see, he'll get basically more reactions, it sounds like, and energy, restore energy, basically for doing reactions. C5, this one is going to be his skill +3 levels, and C6, basically it's related to his skill, I believe. Oh, sorry, it's related to his ult. And then this one, yeah, his passive talent, then he'll consume stacks and he'll gain stacks and just get more damage, basically, is like to sum it up. So, I mean, they're gonna make him great, but I don't think that you need them. So, yeah. Alright, so let's just get to it. Let's just try it out here. As you can see in the team, we do have another electro character to get the extra bonus for resonance. And I did bring Kazuha along for energy purposes, because, yeah. And then if I can get Kazuha to, and also Raiden for energy purposes, right? But if I can get Kazuha to get his 200 EM burst, which I didn't prepare before this, but if I could get that to go, then that might be good as well. So let's just see, because we have the shield to deal with as well, right? So okay, so we're gonna do this, and then we're going to switch into this, and you can see like he's definitely strong. I mean, technically, like, Kazuha and all the others did a lot of the damage, so what, but then there's this, see, so if you don't time it right, you won't get the gold, and I'm not that good at it. So right now I'm doing it okay, but yeah, there's no enemy to kill right now. But yeah, so he can do all that. It's kind of cool, but I will say I often don't time it right, and I don't get the gold eye, and it's actually quite a short duration. Obviously, I don't have the extra extended durations from any kind of constellations. This is his skill, which isn't anything more special, but you have to time the skill within the burst. So I mean, he's definitely a decent character, and he's fast and furious. Basically, he's cool. I will say though, I said this earlier too, and previously, if you were to try to make him into a second Raiden, unfortunately, I think Raiden is still a better character. Raiden is easier to use. She's more powerful in my opinion. Of course, she's an Archon after all. I'm not saying that Cyno can't be more powerful equivalent to Raiden, but I feel like it's just easier to use her. That's just me being lazy. But yeah, Cyno is a great character, but definitely not resonating fully with me. But doesn't mean that he's a bad character. Yeah, I would just say that there's parts of his kit that are kind of clunky, and unfortunately for this, again, this review, I didn't get him to level 90, and I didn't have a 4-piece Gilded Dreams. I did try my best, so I will just say there's definitely more unlocked potential around the corner. If I ever get all that, and if and when he gets a rerun way in the future, I can definitely do an updated review at that time. I don't think I would do another one review of him before then though. So yeah, I would just say, yeah, and I wouldn't say that he needs to have his best in slot weapon, because I would just say he's fine with other options, and we talked about that in the weapon options video, and his best in slot weapon is not necessarily like required for him, but it could be useful for other characters. At least his is kind of useful for other characters. It's still on the weapon banner, so if you want to try for it and make him better, go for it. I can quickly bring it up on the screen here. At least it is kind of universal for some polearm users, or at least more beyond universal, as in beyond just him having a use for it. Yeah, so I would just say that. All right, so we're gonna leave it here. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are on Cyno. I know a lot of people love him, and a lot of people also skipped him as well. But let me know what you guys think about him. I don't hate him, but I am not like thinking that he's gonna be someone that I want to constantly use either. That's just my opinion, though. So let me know what you